Hello, friendos. Gonna do a quick throw together video here. A couple of days ago on Twitter, I mentioned how boys need stories. Boys need stories of men who face great challenges and who overcome them because it's the right thing to do. Boys really need something to latch on to because, I don't think I have to say it, but I will anyways. There's not a lot of good men figure out in the world today, especially in the US. It's really hard to find good male figures for boys to look after in terms of becoming men. But occasionally, not the norm, but occasionally, Hollywood gets it right. So I want to talk to you about a few movies and movie series that are important for boys and that I think every boy should watch and love and study before he becomes a man. And I think that all men need to continuously study because they do capture the heart and soul of what God created men to be. So, first one I want to talk about is Hacksaw Ridge. There are a lot of really good war films that are very good for boys and just believers in general to latch onto. But what I like so much about Hacksaw Ridge is not only do we see the strong faith element, but we see a man become a leader even in the face of fierce adversity. Remember, he was mocked continuously for his faith and his beliefs and for not carrying a gun. As a matter of fact, he was seen as a traitor. But the number of lives that he saved on that day were so massive that everyone had to come to respect him. He stood for his beliefs no matter what. And that's something that all of us have got to do eventually. Even when those closest to us oppose us. Another good example of this is Sergeant York. I think it's a better example, but most people don't know Sergeant York, so Hacksaw Ridge is still a good one. It's hard to stand up in the face of adversity, but it's something a man needs to be ready to do at any given moment. So I think Hacksaw Ridge is a good example of what a man is supposed to look like in that regard. The next one that I'd like to talk about is The Last Samurai. This one's a little bit different. Yes, it's a Tom Cruise movie, but guy's a good actor. Give him a break. So, in this film, this embellished film, I will give you that. It is not necessarily historically accurate. That being said, though, it still gives a good vision of a man becoming a strong leader. He comes from a broken history. Nathan Algren comes from drunken, regretful, and just a broken man who has no meaning and no purpose and is just floating through. And all of a sudden he gets thrust into this new situation in this new land with new people, and everything that he believes gets challenged. And so in this case, unlike with Hacksaw Ridge, we see a man changed. We see him as he is transformed from this old self into a new man. A new man who is willing to fight for what he believes now. And that's another thing that we have to do. Men have to rise to the challenge. Men have to be able to step up to the challenge and fight for what is good. Sometimes that means having to turn on the people they called friends once, as we saw in the movie, and as we saw in history. But like I said, not exactly entirely historically accurate. It's a good one for men because it gives that gritty action that guys really like. Samurai, come on. Samurai. And on top of that, it shows a good example of fighting for what one believes in the face of adversity. And that's what most of these movies are about. The next one I want to talk about, probably one of the most substantial works, if not the most substantial work in the world, The Lord of the Rings. This is probably the best example for a number of reasons. Reason number one, it's frickin' Tolkien. Tolkien is a master writer. The man created a world after which almost every other writer this day shapes his or her work. It's astonishing to know how to just look through modern books, and especially fantasy books, and see how many of them are modeled after Sir Tolkien's work. But there's also multiple strong male characters. You have Aragorn. Aragorn has been running from his responsibility for a long time. He's been running from his family history for a long time. And his family history was not good. He came from a very broken and jaded family. However, when the time came, and it was his responsibility, and he was the only one who could do it, he learned to embrace it and be the difference in his family. You have men like Frodo, the one who would bear the burden that no one else could carry. Even his own family member, Bilbo, who carried the ring before him, was tainted by it. And honestly, Frodo didn't really do a whole lot. Frodo was kind of a weak man. But he bore this burden when no one else could. And that was the greatest thing that he could do. To be the one to carry the ring and to not become corrupt. Even if he's not this great, brave warrior that steps up at every challenge. He's the one who bears the burden. That's what makes him worth modeling after. But of course, I think we all know it, or at least we suspect it. The number one for guys to model after is Samwise Gamgee. Samwise is probably, I think, the most well-written character in the entire story. He loves the Shire, he loves his home, and he loves his comfort. But anything that threatens his comfort is going to be demolished. Samwise is a vicious avenger. That is an important trait in men that has been lost. Men don't avenge. And of course, I'm not advocating violence. But I am advocating men stepping up whenever there is something that threatens the things that they are supposed to protect. If someone is... Sorry, my dog is sleeping. He has sleepy face. Look at him. So sleepy. He's got that tongue sticking out. If someone threatens your girlfriend or your wife, what are you going to do? Are you going to back down or are you going to step up to the challenge? If someone threatens your friends, are you going to fight for their reputation? Or are you going to let the chips fall as they may? This is probably, I would say, the most important quality in these movies that gets overlooked all the time. Men need to fight. Men need to fight to right what is wronged. That's all I really got for you. I'm just going to keep it short because I have no memory on my phone, and this was like a video that I planned to do like 5 minutes ago. So anyways, 3 sets of movies. Hacksaw Ridge, The Last Samurai, and The Lord of the Rings. Watch them, study them, and introduce your boys to them. Take care, guys. I'll see you around.